But in Nepean, it is the proud home to Kaivan, one of Canada's most successful developers, manufacturers, and home builders. It's one of a new breed that are driving a Canadian industrial revolution in home building, one we need. Kaivan is scaling up their plant from around 6 homes per day present to 38 per day by the end of the year. That is 10,000 homes a year built in their factory in Nepean. The 2 sets of homes behind me were manufactured in 2 days, assembled on site in 1. We kept the townhouses. We wanted to keep the townhouses open. We held back the workers from finishing it so you could see how things fit together, how the computer design fits together and tailors the structure. The one over there is being shipped to Nunavut, and I'll speak more about that project in a moment. Kaivan est la preuve de savoir-faire canadien.
Kaivan is evidence of Canadian know-how in building the homes of the future. Their rapidity and their commitment to innovation are the reasons why we are here with them today.
Exactly 6 months ago today, Canada's new government was sworn in for the first time. And on the steps of Rideau Hall, I promised that our focus would be action and change. And we immediately began to deliver that change. On day 1, we canceled the consumer carbon tax, which had become too divisive. And that helps bring down gas prices for all Canadians. Et après l'élection générale,
and after the general election, right at the beginning of our first session, we lowered taxes for the middle class and eliminated all federal obstacles to interior trade and said we would bring in major nation-building projects. This summer, we reached new agreements with our partners and allies in order to diversify our trading relationships.
We struck a new EU-Canada partnership that will expand and deepen our trade, defense, and energy, as well as our commercial relationships. Le mois dernier, je me suis rendu en Ukraine, en Pologne,
I went to Ukraine, Germany, and Latvia to reinforce our prosperity and common security, particularly with respect to critical minerals, energy, and defense, as well as artificial intelligence. In the last 2 weeks, we launched a number of investments and made significant investments in the workers most affected by U.S. tariffs. And in order to strengthen Canada's competitiveness, we introduced the Major Projects Office, and we launched a new series of national projects in order to transform our economy. $60 billion of initial investment, combined with strategies that will catalyze hundreds of billions of dollars of additional investment. And this is only the beginning.
The change is just beginning. We need to keep moving with speed and determination, because the upheaval in the global trading system is not a transition, it's a rupture. And its effects are already profound. Workers displaced from their jobs, supply chains disrupted, and massive amounts of investment held back due to extreme uncertainty. Now more than ever, we need to take control of our destiny. Dans cet environnement marqué par les bouleversements, le nouveau gouvernement du Canada se concentre.
The government of Canada is focused on what we can control, giving more power to Canadians by strengthening our economic power.
We're transforming Canada's economy from one that had become too reliant on a single trading partner to an economy that's more diverse, more resilient, that's built for Canadian workers and their families. The Canadian government's 7 core missions will build our economy, protect our workers, and empower Canadians to seize the opportunities that will arise from this transformation. We won't just manage through this crisis. We will prosper from it. And that brings me to today's announcement. We're focusing on our government's mission to make housing more affordable for all Canadians. You know, young Canadians are doing everything right. They're studying hard, finding a job, saving up. Yet for too many of them, rent is unaffordable, and home ownership feels entirely out of reach. Across the country, it takes nearly 4 years for first-time home buyers to save for a down payment, and in markets such as Toronto and Vancouver, even longer. Depuis des décennies,
For decades now, experts have been sounding the alarm, saying that Canada doesn't have enough homes because we are not building enough and not quick enough. Today, with increasing pressure on supply, prices remain too high. In other words, affordable housing has become a crisis for Canadians.
So we're in a housing crisis, as Gregor said. And it's going to take all hands on deck to get us out of it. Our private sector, our provinces and territories, municipalities, nonprofits, and Indigenous partners, all working together to speed up and scale up home building, to build the affordable housing that all Canadians deserve. And so today, Minister of Housing and I are proud to launch Build Canada Homes, a new federal entity that will supercharge housing construction across Canada. Build Canada Homes will do several things. It will help fight homelessness by building transitional and supportive housing in close partnership with provinces, territories, municipalities, and Indigenous communities. Secondly, it will expand deeply affordable and community housing for low-income households. Third, it's important. These are all important. Third, Build Canada Homes will partner with private sector developers to build affordable homes for the Canadian middle class. And finally, Build Canada Homes, in doing all of that, will catalyze the creation of an entirely new Canadian housing industry that uses modern methods of construction to boost productivity sustainably and at scale. So how we do that? Well, Build Canada Homes will offer flexible financial incentives. It'll approve large portfolio projects and quickly leverage public lands for housing so projects are de-risked, approvals are greenlit, and builders can do what they do best, which is to build. By combining development financing and innovation, Build Canada Homes will make large housing projects financially viable. We'll also attract enormous private capital into affordable home building. And it will enable private manufacturers and modular home builders to invest in new factories, expand capacity rapidly, and to continue to innovate. This, along with a series of other new measures, will help double the pace of housing construction in this country over the next decade. Maison Canada va transformer la façon dont
Build Canada Homes will transform the way Canada supplies housing, building faster, building smarter, and building cheaper. Build Canada Homes will be the single wicket for affordable housing and will accelerate major real estate and housing projects to get them quickly underway. This initiative will play a key role in our plan to double the pace of housing construction over the next decade.
The core challenge at present in the housing market is it's just too hard to build. Loans are expensive, developers face year-long delays in permitting, and land and development charges and taxes can make up half of project costs. These are some of the reasons that there has been no productivity growth in construction in the past 40 years. And since the pandemic, construction productivity has actually fallen. We need big changes to turn this around. With an initial capitalization of $13 billion, Build Canada Homes will reduce the upfront costs of building by offering flexible financial incentives to attract private capital and to catalyze large portfolio projects. Build Canada Homes will use a range of financial tools, from contributions to loans, loan guarantees, equity investments, and investments in real property and housing. To streamline approvals, Build Canada Homes will greenlight projects in bulk. So instead of developers needing to submit dozens of applications separately, large portfolios of projects will be approved all at once. This is part of our government's broader efforts to cut duplication and reduce costs for Canadians. Multi-year deals will create steady demand, so developers can plan, expand, and build more homes. And modern housing factories can build the capacity that we need. To reduce the cost of construction, Build Canada Homes will maximize the use of public lands. The Canada Lands Company will be transferred to the Build Canada Homes portfolio. Yeah. A big deal. Yeah. That's going to streamline construction on public lands. Let me put this in a bit of context. As we stand here today, there are already 88 federal properties suitable for housing listed on the Canada Land Bank, spanning 463 hectares. That's the size of downtown Ottawa. I'm directing my cabinet colleagues to look for more, to determine those lands owned by their departments which can also be used for housing. This land will help lower costs for builders and, most importantly, lower the rents and new home prices for Canadian families. Because
the government shares the risk of projects that otherwise would have been blocked, and now they can move forward.
The second major challenge with housing construction in this country is that by using conventional methods, our construction is just too slow for the housing supply that we need to meet our current needs. It's also too expensive and too heavily reliant on traditional on-site methods. We need to transform the way we build by harnessing the latest technologies. And that's why Build Canada Homes will prioritize the use of cost-efficient and modern methods of construction, including factory-build, modular, and mass timber. Factory-build housing means homes, or large parts of homes, built in controlled factory settings, with precision, with advanced machinery, and benefiting from the latest technology. These homes can be standardized, mass-produced, and once completed, shipped to site and assembled in days or weeks rather than months or years. Factory production also enables housing construction to continue through Canadian winters. It's not always like this in the PN. This removes seasonal downtime that currently slows down the sector. And factory-built housing can accelerate home building by up to 50%, lower costs by 20%, and reduce emissions by over 20% compared to traditional construction methods. In short, Build Canada Homes will help us build faster, smarter, and more sustainably. And the third challenge for Canadian home building is our supply chain. Right now, the situation is that Canada exports raw materials such as timber, steel, aluminum, largely to the US. And then we import finished products such as windows, panels, and prefabricated units at a much higher cost. In effect, we are paying other countries to convert what we already have into what we really need. No more. No more. Build Canada Homes will adopt the government's new Buy Canadian policy and prioritize projects such as these that use Canadian resources. We'll strengthen domestic supply chains, create high-paying careers across the country, and ensure that new housing drives new orders for Canadian steel, lumber, mass timber, and aluminum. Nous créerons une toute nouvelle industrie
We will
du
create a
logement au
brand
Canada.
new housing industry in Canada, not only to build homes, but also to export modular homes built in Canada, as well as wooden products and housing technologies.
It's a big job ahead for Build Canada Homes to supercharge affordable housing development and create that new industry in Canada. It needs a strong and experienced leader. And that's why the Minister and I are pleased to announce that Anna Balau will be the new CEO of Build Canada Homes. Anna is a seasoned leader with deep experience in affordable housing, having served for over a decade on Toronto City Council, including as Deputy Mayor from 2017 to 2022, as Chair of the Planning and Housing Committee, and on the board of Toronto Community Housing. While on Council, Anna spearheaded the creation of Housing Now, which uses city lands to build affordable housing. And most recently, she served as head of affordable housing at the private developer Dream Unlimited. Canadians are fortunate, Anna, that you'll put your experience in the service of building faster across our country. Thank you. And notice that in a sense of urgency, Anna's here on a Sunday. We're all here on a Sunday. We are getting straight to work by announcing the first 4 investments and initiatives of Build Canada Home. First, as we begin to develop the public lands in Canada Lands portfolio, we will make good on that promise to prioritize modern factory-built housing. To begin with, Build Canada Homes will develop 6 sites to build 4,000 factory-built homes on federal lands, with additional capacity on those sites of up to 45,000 units. The first tranche. Moving east to west, the first tranche of those sites will be in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, Longueuil, Quebec, Ottawa, Toronto, Winnipeg, and Edmonton. What BCH will do is employ a direct build approach, overseeing and leading construction projects focused on affordable mixed-income communities. The second thing we're going to do out of the gate is to help protect existing affordable rental housing. The $1.5 billion Canada Rental Protection Fund will be launched under Build Canada Homes. Yeah. This initiative supports community housing by acquiring at-risk rental apartment buildings, ensuring they remain affordable over the long term. It also aligns Build Canada Homes' broader mandate to grow the supply of affordable and non-market housing, not just by building new homes, but by preserving the ones on which Canadians already rely. The third thing the Build Canada Homes will do out of the gate is allocate $1 billion for new capital investments in supportive and transitional housing for those at risk or experiencing homelessness. It'll work in collaboration with the provinces, territories, and municipalities, and our Indigenous partners. We will pair those federal investments with employment and healthcare supports for those people. Finally, Build Canada Homes will partner with Nunavut's Housing Corporation to build over 700 public, affordable, and supportive housing units. And approximately 30% of those units are expected to be built off-site, such as the one over there, using factory-built housing. Now, Build Canada Homes will announce a series of additional projects across the country in the months ahead, leveraging those public assets, public lands, partnering with the private sector to build at scale. Chaque dollar fédéral investi dans les
Every
maisons,
federal dollar
Canada
invested
se
in
multipliera
this agency
en attirant
will be
des
multiplied
capitaux privés,
by attracting
des
private
des investisseurs, des promoteurs afin d'élargir
private
l'offre.
investors and developers in order to increase the supply of housing. We are putting in place the right conditions to catalyze maximum investment and allow builders to build big and to build now. Canada can considerably increase its supply of affordable housing and become a global leader in innovation in the housing sector, including with respect to sustainable materials and manufacturing. Canadians must know that the next few years may not be easy, but there will need to be national mobilization such as we have not seen since World War II. A change of that magnitude is not easy to accomplish, it never is, but it is absolutely critical. And for a united and determined Canada, it is entirely achievable.
So to finish, Canadians have given our new government a mandate to build a stronger Canada, to build a country where Canadians are empowered, with more opportunities that help you get ahead, with lower costs, safer communities, and homes you can afford. That's the foundation on which you can build your life, how you want it, and where you want it. By building smart, building Canadian, building now, we are building Canada strong. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, M. le Premier ministre. Nous allons maintenant commencer la période de questions. We'll do about 15 minutes of question. Première question, Mylène.
Bonjour, Mylène Crête de la presse. Quel est le prix d'un loyer abordable mensuellement?
What is the price of an affordable rent monthly, in your opinion? Well, in terms of the amounts or the spending,
doit être 30%
it should be
de rendement avant le taxe.
30% before taxes or even less. That is the definition of affordable housing.
Y compris le loyer, dans la question de dollars, ça dépend
and in terms of dollar amounts, it depends on the city which is involved. So it reflects a percentage of average performance. But 30% is the definition. And the work being done by Build Canada Homes is for very affordable homes. So affordable includes people who are spending more than that at this time, because the average is about 45%. But what does that represent per month here in Ottawa? How much would affordable rent be here in Ottawa? Well, in terms of the exact amount, once again, it does depend on the individual. I'd say it's approximately $800, $600 to $800. But it's lower than that if we're talking about very affordable housing. And the problem now is that overall, the number of social housing units in Canada is about 3.5% of the total housing supply in Canada. So less than 50% of the average in OECD countries. So we have to take action. We have to start building right now in order to bring down prices. Radio-Canada, I'd like you to comment to the return to the House tomorrow. You crossed swords for the first time in Pierre Poilievre, and I'm wondering how you see this happening. And do you intend to collaborate with opposition colleagues in order to ensure that you can pass legislation that you will intend to table? Well, it's the first time in the House of Commons, but it's not the first time I've had a discussion with Mr. Poilievre or the other opposition politicians. What's interesting at this time is that we can work in close cooperation with all the premiers of the provinces and territories. At this time, we can work in close cooperation with the unions, with the private sector, with the universities and researchers. So we do hope that we will be able to work, and I'm ready to work in close cooperation with the opposition parties. It's possible. Right across Canada.
I'd like to hear you in English as well on that, but you didn't answer the part. Did you reach out to them already? Est-ce que vous l'avez, les autres partis d'opposition?
Have you already spoken to the other parties? Well, there will be discussions with the leaders of the opposition parties over the coming weeks. There's no doubt about that. Well before the federal budget is tabled, because now is the time to do that. Now, I did have a conversation on another topic, of course, but I had a conversation with Mr. Poilievre on Friday evening.
Which part?
The whole thing.
The whole thing. I think I'm going to focus on the core of your question, if I could, which is about cooperation with the opposition parties as we start the new session of Parliament. And my observation is that this government is cooperating with every province. Every province, every premier, myself with every premier of the provinces and the territories. You see that time and time again. We're identifying opportunities to move forward. We're making progress. We're cooperating with the unions. We made an announcement on Friday, just 2 days ago, with the major. On Thursday, I guess it was, in Edmonton on major projects. Heads of unions representing 1.1 million union workers were at that announcement. That shows the degree of cooperation. The Carpenters Union is here today, amongst others. Thank you for making the time. We're going to need you going forward because we realize that we need to come together and unify. We're working with the universities. We're working with researchers, working clearly with the private sector. Kaiven is an example. I think ATCO is, Nancy Southern might be here, or ATCO is here. Amazing. There they are. Okay. Just like, point being, there's this coordination, this coming together and working together, and that's what Canadians expect. And if we can do it with all the provinces, with the unions, with the private sector, with the innovators, with Canadians, surely the opposition parties can cooperate with us.
Par ailleurs, votre leader en chambre a dit sur nos ondes ce matin qu'on pouvait s'attendre à un
déficit on the air this morning that we can expect a substantial deficit. What does substantial mean? It means a deficit that is larger than last year because we have received an electroshock from the United States. That's clear. That's the first point. Second, this government, with today's announcement, but also with the GST cut and the middle-class tax cut, and the CRTC decision on broadband, we are focusing day after day on affordability for Canadians. Yes, it's costing money right now, but it's absolutely essential. And we must strengthen Canada's defense and the safety of our communities. But these are investments, major investments, that will build our economy and build Canada strong.
Hi, Darren Major, CBC. Critics will say this is just creating, your announcement today is just creating another layer of, bureaucracy. How can you assure Canadians that this is going to achieve results?
I think one of the things I've learned over the years, 3 decades plus of managing large organizations and things, is you need clear mandates. You need the tools to achieve those mandates, and you need accountability in making the progress. Right now, what we have is an organization, many strengths, CMHC, that has multiple mandates. It works in market housing, so where there's no, in effect, public policy provision. They provide mortgage insurance. Many of us get from CMHC when we buy homes or one of their competitors, but it provides that core role. But it's also supposed to focus on what we're talking about today, which is deeply affordable and affordable housing. And that aspect hasn't been working. hasn't had the tools, hasn't gone to the scale. So we are carving that out, putting it into, we're not creating another layer, we're creating greater clarity, and we're giving all the tools, the ability, and bringing in expertise from the private and, well, actually with Anna, both the private and public sector, bringing that expertise under a minister who's got experience in both the private and public sector, and if I may add, a prime minister who has similar experience as well. That we're bringing those all together, the tools to focus on the challenges we have with deeply affordable. And when we say deeply affordable, let's be clear, we're starting with the problem of homelessness in this country. We haven't been building homes in this country for the homeless. And you think of all the knock-on, not just the questions of human dignity, but the social problems that are fed from that crisis. So we play a much bigger role in addressing that. But then moving to affordable housing, that 30% definition we discussed earlier. Look, we're talking about 45–50% of Canadian households who fall into the category of affordable housing. And we haven't been building enough affordable housing. So what we get is an entity under the minister, Build Canada Homes, with a private sector, public sector CEO with Anna, that is exclusively focused on that, has the tools in order to do that in terms of financing mechanisms, but also has a huge land bank coming from Canada Land. A huge land bank that's going to be ready to do these projects. And because it has financing, huge land bank, it has $13 billion there, then the folks from Kaiven and the industry more broadly can have the confidence that there's going to be demand. So again, with our hosts, they can have confidence of scaling up to a factory to 10,000 units a year. That makes sense in terms of the scale of what we're going to be doing in this country, as it will for other competitors. That's government fulfilling core social roles. We have a responsibility to those less fortunate. We don't build enough social housing. We don't build enough affordable housing. So it's us filling our core role, but in a smart way that drives innovation, it gets the benefit of the private sector, and will build at scale.